But from a tight angle, Rodrygo finds it back of the net.
Close game, that one.
Close game, indeed, as you can see by the match stats. All right, well, Jules, looking at this game, any insights of how Xabi Alonso's Real Madrid will look? Are we any closer to seeing what the finished product will be?
Yeah, I think, first of all, this is the only friendly that they would have before the start of La Liga, which, considering the opposition, is slightly weird. It's a strange game to have gone all the way to this tiny club in Austria who's never finished higher than 6th in the league to play the only friendly this summer. But hey, this is their decision. Like Nedum said, 4-0, they would be happy with that. We saw a different system in the second half with the back three. We saw Tchouaméni being quite hybrid like we saw in the Club World Cup in the first half too, although they didn't really need to be. This is how the team started. And again, Tchouaméni with that kind of free role, sometimes coming between Huijsen and Militao. We saw a proper back three without Tchouaméni in the second half. We know that Trent and Carreras are two very attacking wing backs or full backs, depending on exactly how you play. And I think that hybrid system, if you want, back three, back four, could work really well for them. The Vinicius, Mbappe, and Brahim in this case, it could have been somebody else, worked well. And then there's Arda Güler. What we saw at the Club World Cup was quite promising from him in that kind of midfield. Could he be a little bit like another Luka Modric? Certainly in terms of passing, I agree with Shaka. That was not a cross for Mbappe or a ball for Mbappe. That was a shot. But I think he will have that creativity from midfield that could work really well. That's why I think Real Madrid are going to win the league this season.
Oh, well, Jules, still once again, no Rodrygo, even in a preseason game in the starting 11, despite also scoring a goal. Is it just really over for him, even though it's a new manager coming in?
Yeah, I think Xabi Alonso will be very happy to keep him and choose to have him as another option on the bench like we saw today. He came on, took his goal really well. Great movement, great understanding with Mbappe. And that's why we'll bring you. It's more, again, we go back to being a World Cup year. Rodrygo can't have a season where he starts 10 La Liga games, for example. He's just too good for that. And he's got a place to cement within, not just the Brazil squad, but the Brazil starting 11 with Carlo Ancelotti for the World Cup. So he can't afford to have a season where he spends more time on the bench than on the pitch. So that's the decision that he would have to make. I'm sure Xabi Alonso would want to keep a player of his quality, of his talent. But I think the ball is more in his court than in the Real Madrid court until they decide of how much money they want for him. Because, again, they might price him out.
All right, well, Real Madrid have been busy on and off the pitch, actually, putting out a bit of a complaint today because, as we know, La Liga have put in, I suppose, not really a petition, but suggested the idea of Villarreal playing their game against Barcelona in Miami. Well, Real Madrid pretty much had a long statement arguing that it alters the competitive balance of the league and grants an undue sporting advantage to Barcelona, as it will be one less away game for them compared to everyone else. Well, Fernando Roig, who is the Villarreal president, responded by saying this: "We haven't beaten Barcelona at our stadium, and we've beaten them several times at theirs in recent years, so perhaps we have a better chance. We beat them there this year, for example. If we play on a football pitch in good condition, then there's no adulteration." Unlike Real Madrid to complain about things. Nedum, what do you think about this one? Villarreal, Barcelona, Miami, unfair advantage. Do you see the point in Real Madrid's argument?
I see the argument that they're trying to make, but is it the argument just because it's Barcelona? If it was another team, say, further down the table, would it be led in the same way? Would it be something he's prepared to just move on from? I can see where we're coming from, and I think football itself, from the global standpoint, is probably going to get to a situation where this happens more often. And if Real Madrid were going to be the team playing in Miami, would the complaints be there from Real Madrid? Because, whenever they travel, they have a competitive advantage because people want to come and see them. So Real Madrid complaining, it's probably the first time this year, won't be the last. I kind of get that. And logically, I see where they're coming from, but I don't fully buy into that argument. And I think the fact that the president of Villarreal has spoken in that way is very important because they're the ones who were actually involved. And for Perez, he's talking like he's trying to stick up for Villarreal. Villarreal are fine. They're completely fine. And if that's something that they're prepared to do and they understand, and they've been very good in terms of having that discussion with the fans about what they're going to do to help them get over there or what they're going to do if they can't get over there, that's great. That's their situation. I don't think they need Real Madrid to speak up for them to, say, woe was me as such.
Yeah, if Villarreal are okay with it, should we just play ball, Shaka?
No, I actually think the Madrid complaint has some warrant to it.
Okay.
So some worth to it. And I say that because they're right. It is one less, and to your point, it's only because it's Barcelona. And let's
And they're
be honest,
right to worry about their closest rivals.
as we sit right here, everybody is expecting that 1 and 2 in La Liga is going to be Real Madrid and Barcelona, and it may be close, and it may come down to 3 points. So I think Real Madrid have every right to feel a little bit aggrieved at this, and to the Villarreal statement about we haven't beaten Barcelona in so long at our say. I don't think that adds anything to it. I mean, if it were that simple, then just don't bother to play the game. But it's not. The issue for me is with Real Madrid as opposed to the complaint. Real Madrid have become the club that cry wolf. And now, even though I think that this complaint has merit to it, I've just heard so many complaints from Real Madrid that I just felt have been flimsy at best, that now that they have a good one, you just think, oh, just leave it alone. You know, and that for me is the frustration this time around. Not so much of the thing that it's unwarranted, that I'm just tired of them complaining at every single opportunity.
Jules, what do you think of it all? Do you see Real Madrid's point?
Yeah, I'm all for Real Madrid. I won't lie on this one. I just think there are rules. The rules are 19 games at home in your own stadium and 19 games away at the opposition stadium, not on neutral ground. It just doesn't work like this. And if you do it for 2 teams, you'll have to do it for everybody else. It's unfair. Whether Barca win or not, whether they usually win at Villarreal or lose away at Villarreal, it doesn't matter so much. These are the rules. It's 19 home games for everybody and 19 away games at the stadium of your opposition for everybody else. I just don't know why suddenly we make exception for Barcelona and Villarreal and everybody should accept it.
You know what, Jules? A little birdie told me that we were actually going to invite you to come cover that Villarreal-Barcelona game. But you know what?
I'm not available. I would only come to La Ceramica.
All right, well, I guess we're just going to have fun in Miami without you then. Nedum, you wanted to jump in.
I wanted to talk to Jules because I feel like the point that you're making is a very specific point around football. But the Real Madrid point, I think, is about Barcelona. So your point is a very pure one, but that's not their argument, though.
But part of Real Madrid's argument is you ask the rest of the league, ask everybody else in the league, every other football club in the league to approve this. Because to Jules' point, you have 19 games at home, 19 away. If you want to sway from that, it shouldn't be a Tebas or
decision.
La Liga decision. This should, every single club, regardless, not just Real Madrid, every single club should have a vote. Now, it may very well be 19 clubs vote that it's all right, and the one dissenting voice is Real Madrid, and that's fine. And then you move it, and Real Madrid, you say, well, you lost the vote. But every club should have a say as to whether this game or one fixture is moved.
Listen, I don't disagree with that, but I just think it's interesting sometimes when the argument you make is one that Real Madrid almost presented themselves as populists.
Yeah.
Because in reality, they are Real Madrid.
But Jules, talking about whose decision it should be, shouldn't it be Villarreal's ultimate decision then, considering they're the team that looks like they will be at the disadvantage because they know Barcelona will be heavily supported internationally?
Yeah, no, I think so. And you're right. If Villarreal agree and want to do it, there's obviously the money side for them. They will probably get quite a few millions to go and play that game in Miami, like Barcelona, probably less than Barcelona, but it has to be some sort of incentive, and also for their brand to be there in the US, on US soil with all the La Liga fans over there. I understand that. But I'm sure it's the same for Sevilla and Betis and Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. In that case, everybody in La Liga would feel like, okay, what about me? Why they ask Barcelona and Villarreal and not me to go and play that game? So I just think, like Shaka said, everybody should be in agreement or disagreeing about it. I just think it's unfair. It's either you play one game for everybody outside of Spain, and fair enough, everybody's on the same page. But you can't have just 2 teams playing in Miami and the other 18 have their normal schedule like everybody else.
Yeah, I don't disagree with Jules. I don't disagree with Shaka as such. Like, because the whole idea of like football being global and having access to go to this place and that place, I do believe in fairness as such. But I'm also looking at it from the argument that Real Madrid are putting forward. And that's the thing which I'm going to address the most, because it doesn't feel like a real one to me. It's not about, say, for example...
You feel if it's another team that's not Barcelona?
I just don't think the energy is the same, even though it potentially could be. So that's why I think they're almost making it a competitive advantage in terms of their biggest rival, as you guys have mentioned. Whereas the guys are talking about it from a wider footballing context, which I'm totally on board with. Because if I was a fan of another team in La Liga, say it's Valencia and so on, say, well, why can't we do that? But then also to spin the other side. I don't think many fans want to see their team play away from their home. But that's a bigger conversation.
But let me ask this, as it comes to me now. What's the process for, say, moving stadiums during the season? Well, okay, the Camp Nou's refurbishment didn't finish before the end of last season, but it was supposed to. So kind of just thinking through all the issues with this, could clubs similarly say, well, I'd prefer to play in front of 20,000 rather than 100,000? You know, kind of in the context of, you know, playing away or playing in the US as opposed to playing in Spain, playing in a small stadium, small compact stadium, as opposed to playing in a bigger, less intimidating stadium. What's the process for moving my home stadium in the middle of the season?
That's a good question. We're going to have to tackle it another time, though, because it's time to wrap this up. What we did learn, though, is that Jules is not invited to that game in Miami, but the rest of us hopefully will be. Bienvenidos en Miami. But guess what? La Liga is back in their rightful stadiums. This weekend, the new schedule is out here. It is all the games on ESPN Plus. We have a great team out there, starting coverage in English, Spanish, and Portuguese, so make sure to watch. Saturday, though, Mallorca against Barcelona. Went Mallorca last year. Lovely place.